There's some gangsters threatening my father for money. They say they'll keep the store protected from bad people, but we have to pay them. We don't have that kind of money.
So let me get this straight. Bad people want to protect you from bad people.
Are the police doing anything about it?
Well, I started as an extra in 1987, and I kept doing extra work for a while, but I didn't like the way they were treating extras at the time, and I didn't want to be in cattle calls and all that, and I said, you know what? I'm going to save my money, one day get a better job, save my money and do my own movies, and that's... Then I waited, like I had all the time in the world, which you don't, till 1993 to do my first short. And then after that, 1995 to do a feature. But by then I had a pretty decent job. I worked at a Calvin Klein Cosmetics, so I had a decent job, and they were very nice to me. So, and I was getting, well paid. But what was funny is that I learned filmmaking with actual film. There was no digital back then, and it was a lot of money being paid on the processing processing, syncing, and editing. Boy, they could drain you. It's not like today. So that's how I got started. And then I'm still doing it, I think, 89, like almost 30 years later.
How have things changed since you got into film?
Well, we just spoke about that. The digital is incredible because now you can shoot with a phone, edit at home, and with any easy editing app, and make your own movie. Depending, I mean, it's gone so far that they have Apple contests. So like you got to make a movie with phones. So that's how how great these cameras are being done. On your phone. If I never made that attempt yet, but I might, use a phone for a movie. Okay. I mean, I see that people have done, like Michael Mann has used digital. Some good directors have used digital. I mean, you could see the difference. When he did Miami Vice, he could see some scenes that you could tell was so digitized, but it still worked.
What is the best thing that ever happened to you while shooting a film?
What was the best thing that ever happened to me? I think the best thing that happened to me was while shooting a film.
Yeah.
When everything is just gelling and it's I don't have a remembrance of what's the best thing, but I do have I could remember when it's rolling good, when your day is in some synchronized order at such a low budget, because when it's a low budget you make a lot of mistakes, but some days it just works. I mean, and you have great days and you have terrible days. I mean, like, we let a good example. We were shooting and we had Father Holiday episode 3, and we had Calissa Carradine. I mean, David Carradine's daughter. We really were supposed, but we didn't know this. You see, this is how we're still learning. She's a or maybe a celebrity, to people. She's a celebrity. And we made her wait till the end of the night for her scenes. You don't do that. You give the celebrity the go ahead and you shoot them first. So that's a very lesson that I've learned. If you have a celebrity, you better make sure you shoot if they're doing you a favor of shooting something for $150, $100. You better shoot them first, treat them nice, get them the cab home, and you'll be all right.
Okay. What do you hope for people to take away from your films?
I think the most important thing about to take away from my films is that I really tried to, and I am still trying. I think that it's not a thing, like people always say, what are you going to do? I mean, if you don't make it. I've heard this term, don't make it. And I go, that's not what art is all about. I mean, people live and die to the art. Artists, like you. If you're a lifer, you're going to be a lifer. I mean, money, no money. I mean, look at all the great artists that died and got famous later. I mean, like Michelangelo, all those artists, Warhol, all these artists. I mean, you're saying, yeah, but those are artists, not really filmmakers, but filmmakers too. Nobody's ever an overnight sensation in the film industry. If they tell you it just happened overnight, it's a lie. Their overnight sensation, it took them 20 years or more. So don't believe the hype. I learned that from a great writer.
If you don't let her go, I'll snap his neck. Wait. Wait! Oh. I thought I recognized you. Let her go. Father, seems we've had a misunderstanding. Let him go.
What is the toughest thing about getting a project done?
Money. Money is the catalyst. The more money you have, the faster the project will go. The less money you have, the slower the project goes. I mean, money is the root of everything in film. I mean, if you have the money, we could shoot a week straight because you have the money to support that. If you don't, you gotta wait for, on a low budget, you gotta wait for people to be off. Can you make it that day? Well, I can't, I gotta work the next day, or I gotta work on Saturdays. So you're at their beck and call. When you got money, they're on your beck and call. And if they want to be in it, they're in it. If they're not, you can get rid of them.
What do you feel is missing in entertainment today?
Wow. Wow. What's missing? I mean, I think there's too many reality shows and not enough decent shows around anymore. Like in the 70s and 80s, you had everything was a sitcom or an hour show, and they were story driven. These things today are not story driven. They're just, I think everything is too I don't want to use the word, but I think everything's too ghetto now. And with all this social media, I think has ruined. It has gained a lot of success with. You can gain a lot of success with social media, but you can also, you could also lose everything. I that's a very good question. Not a lot of story-driven stories. Everything now is CGI'd. CGI'd. I think everything is CGI'd and everything's special effects. Everything is a DC, Marvel. I mean, there's not enough stories. and until the Oscar season comes to play, and all of a sudden you get these dull movies that you know. There's it's terrible. It's terrible. The film industry right now is lacking real good scripts. They say in Hollywood there's only 7 original scripts, and it keeps recycling over and over and over. So that's what you're seeing. But now with these reality shows and I don't know. Good stories, good movies. I don't know, you know, but that's my taste. I don't know what, you know, the world is younger now, so, you know, the world is younger, so that question's a little tough. What's lacking? Because you still can get your good stories, but I mean, you got to go look for them.
How important is social media for promoting your films?
Now, very important. Actually, I wish I had an expert, you know, in public relations. You need a I think before you start a project, if you can afford one, you need a PR person. You can get your hands on a PR person. If you start a project that please either emphasize a student project or a project that you want to try to sell, or try to get to agents or get to distributors, depending. But you need someone that's an expert in public relations, because if not, you better know somebody, or you better know somebody that knows somebody. That's very important. Public relations is very important right now. I know you're saying, you know, how social media, but that public relation person will get somebody to put in social media in a way that, you know, that will get it to the right eyes. So it's very important.
What is your philosophy in life that influence your film work?
Who influenced my film work, or my philosophy?
Yeah, in life.
I have it twisted, because I started watching movies very early in life, and unfortunately, all my movies were, with the exception of the 10 Commandments. I saw that as a Cub Scout, so I still remember, but were very violent. So all my inspiration came from, like, either, you know, 42nd Street karate movies, or what you would say Bruce Lee movies, Clint Eastwood movies, Western movies. I think because Westerns were very big back in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, I mean, big influences in my life, you know, were like Eastwood, Lee, Bruce Lee, Steve McQueen. You know, recently I got into Westerns as an obsession, and I'm discovering guys I never even saw when I was a child, like Randolph Scott, Audie Murphy, Rory Calhoun, you name it. I mean, I've been watching all these old Westerns, you know, basically all the same storyline, just a little different. But very well made movies. I think movies from the 50s, I think people should really take a hold and look at movies from the 50s, because it really, I think that's what filmmaking was at its peak, with good stories, good actors, you know, studio enhanced actors. Remember, now we're independent, so actors can come out of left field, but back then actors were made. Not just come out of left field, you know, the independent scene. So, but I mean, yeah, I learned a lot from a lot of violent horror flicks too. You know, you had your first horror flicks like Halloween, Friday the 13th. When those movies, you know, when they came out, wow, like, you know, Equinox. People don't know that was made by the great Roy Harryhausen, who does all the special effects. Wow. Good old days. Horror Hotel, Christopher Lee. I mean, I'm just naming the ones that stayed with me, not left it in it, but to stay with me because they're the ones that you go, wow, these were decent. I can actually make these.
What do you look when you're looking for a new film project?
Wow. It's all about the money again. I'm sorry to say, I know you want more the psychology, more of the art of film, but when you're talking to a guy who's been doing low budgeters like myself for a while, you just keep looking for money or something you could do on it cheap. Like, okay, I can do this script. You right? Like they always say, there's so many writing lessons. I've heard that write what you feel. Don't worry if you're planning to do it. Write what you feel. Don't worry about the budget. Like just write. Actually, now because of CGI and green screens and all that, that can actually work. Not back then. Because now you can get, like if you want to do like a little special effect movie, you can get away with it. But back then you couldn't. So what I look at, what's cheapest to do. What could I do to stay active, stay creative? I think, a great writer, Nick Pileggi, always said, he wrote Goodfellas and Casino, always said, what's next? What's next? What's next? Like, in other words, he was saying, this project is over. What are you doing now? He was looking over, down the road. But, what, as you're doing the project, this project is already forgotten about. What's next? That was his philosophy. So, I guess I took from that, but yeah, but whatever's cheapest to do, or whatever you can write that is on your, that's on your budget, that you can get away with. I would really tell today's, or if you told me, if you asked me what would you tell people today how to do a film, if it's story driven, do it. Story driven. Stay away from super action scenes, super fighting scenes, super this. That way you learn the drama of the craft, which you can learn and make it dramatic as possible or make it comical as possible. But something that is not needed, like a gun, super fight scenes. That way, you avoid all those problems at a low budget. You got to go get the prop gun rented from a New York police prop store. There's so much involved, and then you got to bring it back. Then the cops got to be there. You need insurance. If I could tell anybody beginning filmmaking, create a story without any special effects. How's that? If you can do a decent film without special effects, that's props. Like, there's a couple of dramas out today. 2017, Fences, Denzel just finished doing one, Birth of a Nation. There's a couple of them.
What is the one mistake most filmmakers make, regardless of experience?
Not having the distribution. Not having the distribution before making the film. You should have either a public relation person involved already, knowing what they're going to do with this film, or where's this going to be distributed at, or how are you going to make a film festival? These are very good. That's a very good question. What you do need, if you're going to make a film, is if I could tell a first-time filmmaker, again, what I could tell them is, see if you can get your hands on a celebrity or semi-celebrity or an upcoming celebrity. If he can be or she can be in your movie, you got more of a chance of people watching it too. Then people, they're gonna, why should I watch this? Oh, because, so-and-so's in it. Mel Gibson's in it. Oh, okay, I'm gonna watch it. Or, Megan Fox or, whoever. But you have more of a chance of people watching it when you tell them, okay, who's in this movie? Then I think that's a very big mistake a lot of kids today do. They don't have they just go, let's do it. No. Slow down, relax. If what is your purpose of doing a film? To learn the craft? Okay, you should go do it. But if there's other reasons, then find somebody that has public relations skills. Get somebody that knows all that computer part. That will be putting it in know how to put it in Instagram, Twitter. This, did you hear about this? These other sites now that are coming up. These other there's so much that way people will know about your film. Without that, it's just gonna sit. That's the biggest mistake I think a lot of kids do today. They to practice. Okay, you could practice. I mean, but don't if you're gonna do a movie and you want to do it and you want to take it to another level, you should try to have a good story. See if you can get yourself an actor. Even if he's a B actor, C actor, someone with a name, he or she, public relations. I think you'll be okay. You'll be all right.
What areas would you like to explore in the future with film?
Westerns. For me, I became obsessed with Westerns at a late age. I don't know why. I guess because life was simple then. Westerns, I mean, I'd take a chance at anything, sci-fi within reason, within a budget, I mean, everything is, again, but I think if you put your mind to it, you could do anything. I'm not trying to, I don't want this interview to be left without saying, you put your mind to it, you can do it. Just go out and keep doing it. I think that's the most important thing. Keep creating, keep going out there. Shoot a little scene, shoot 2 scenes, shoot a short. Keep doing little shorts until you start to develop and you get the hunger to do a feature. Okay, I think I'm ready now to do start with a 10-minute short or 15-minute short. I saw a fabulous short. Actually, I was going to tell you guys. It was a Hindu. Short on YouTube, and it said, "Don't." Since it was Hindu, they didn't know how to pronounce certain words in English, and they said, don't watch this. I mean, this is what happens to people who fool around with married people, married couples. And it was so I go, okay. And it was made by some Hindu guy, and it was fantastic. And I'll tell you what the story was about in a few seconds. It was about a cop who goes investigates a missing person. And he was seen at this apartment last. Some beautiful wife opens the door. He couldn't stop looking at her. I mean, he's a cop, and and this is Hindu. And what was funny, they did this in English. And all of a sudden, here comes the old man. And then he goes, goes, oh, listen, man, you have a, you know, they're sitting down, the old man introduces himself, you have a beautiful daughter. It's not my daughter, it's my wife. And he's, you know, he goes, oh, I'm sorry, you know, respect, you know. In the interim, they're talking. They had a row of dolls. Have you seen these new dolls today? They got them up in the Upper East Side now. It's a fad. They can make a doll look identical like you.
Okay.
One doll kept falling. Ping, ping. Oh, it must be the fan because I have a fan. It kept falling. Ping, ping. Said you know, he was explaining himself and said, no, they just keep falling. I don't understand why these dolls keep falling. And they were just of different people, you know, right? So the guy said, listen, man, after they get into the investigative part, you know, it became some sort of sorcery. And the police guy didn't believe it. But he believed that the girl upstairs was fine as hell, his wife, right? So he goes, I see that you don't believe in my story. I want you to take this rock, and then you're going to be me. You're going to change into me if you take this rock. And you see that my wife is not going to recognize you. Takes this magic rock, goes upstairs. The girl looks at, I guess was her husband, says, honey, when are you going to get rid of the cop? I mean, you know, get rid of him already. I want to, you know, I want to fool around. I want to talk to you. Then he looks at himself in a mirror and he sees the reflection that he's not him. Right? So as it happens, that he walks out, then he walks back in, and they exchange words. She hugs him, right? He closes his eyes, and when he's awake, he wakes up. You ready for this? Great short. He's going, yo! Like I felt like he was in a coffin. Like, get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here. Get me. It's tight, it's in a black, you just see his face and you see his hands going, come on, get me out of here. He becomes one of the dolls. He had a collection of souls. And he was collecting souls. Fantastic.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You missed.